Wednesday live video. I want to see if I can do this, so I'm going to be trying. I know that I haven't been posting whether I will do these or not, but at this moment it's kind of last minute kind of deal, and I had some other videos in line for Cast Iron Wednesday, but I figured let's give this live a go. So here we are. Now, what I do want to do is talk about the vintage cast iron that I own, mainly Wagner Ware. I don't have that many pieces. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do have maybe 2 or 3 other ones that I haven't restored yet, but this is my small, I guess you could say my smallest collection, or not really. I also have other brands, but I guess this collection is smaller than my other. I do have a favorite. I have a Wapak or Waypak, whatever you guys want to, however you guys want to pronounce it, and other brands as well. Martin Stove and Range, BSR. But I do want to say that Wagner Ware is probably my second biggest vintage collection, besides Lodge, and maybe third largest. I guess you could say Lodge and Griswold has to be my biggest. Third would be Wagner, and then the other ones I just have one of each. So I have like one number 8 Waypak, Wapak, Skillet. I have a Martin Stove and Range number 8. I have a BSR, I want to say number 8, a number 10, and I think I might have a number 12 for BSR. Oh, I might also have a number 5, but that one is a Red Mountain series instead of a Century series. But as I mentioned, my collection is, I do have a good amount of vintage pieces, and I did get asked by a couple of you guys about the vintage collection that I have. So I figured for Cast Iron Wednesday, it'd be a great opportunity to show you guys what I've collected with my vintage pieces, and because I don't really showcase them as much on the channel. So we're going to start off with, we'll start off with this one here because this is the closest. This, as you can see, guys, is a Wagner Ware Sydney-O 8-inch 8S. It is the older model, I want to say, maybe the 1930s model, where it does have the heat ring. Very deep, actually. I do like this style a lot. I do wish that they would actually bring back, or that they would have kept this, not that they would bring back, but I do wish that they would have kept this style moving forward. But then they lost the heat ring, so then they opted to do a flat bottom instead. But anyway, as I mentioned, this one is a older Wagner Ware, as I mentioned, number 8, and one of my favorite ones. It does have a small casting flaw here, but other than that, I've seasoned it, I want to say, after restoring it, about 8 or 9 times, seasoned it. I did strip it down to bare metal, and I was having issues, and that's one of the reasons why I stripped it, or seasoned it, I'm sorry. Seasoned it for about 8 or 9 times after stripping the piece itself. But now I think I've developed a good seasoning coat on this, so very happy with this. So far, it's been holding seasoning really well. I have used it numerous times, just for breakfast. Not very many things, but just mainly for breakfast is what I've used these for. And as I mentioned, number 8, looking pretty nice. Handle is one of the features where the unmarked, this one here, kind of still takes that feature with the handle. That's one of the ways you can tell. But as I mentioned, this one is a little older, so the style is a little bit different. So that is the number 8, very smooth, seasoned really well. And I actually seasoned this, guys, with I actually seasoned it with the Smitty seasoning, which is beeswax, grapeseed oil, I think, and canola. I think that's their blend. Don't quote me on that, but it's Smitty's seasoning, which actually did a great job because it had become very splotchy before, but now the seasoning coat has evened out, which I'm very happy with that. So anyway, guys, moving on. As I mentioned, this is the number 8, one of 5 in my collection for Wagner Ware. Let's do the unmarked. I actually just got this one not too long ago. This one is the 10.5. This one date range could be around, I want to say 60s, 70s, 80s, around that time. Unmarked, Wagner. Hey, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Beautiful Wagner. Thank you very much. This one is a work in progress. I got this, as I mentioned, maybe I want to say about a month ago, and I've been kind of seasoning it on and off. One thing that kind of made me stop and want to think about seasoning is this little flaw right here. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but camera can't really pick it up very well. Well, yeah, you can see it. So I saw this flaw after restoring it, and you know, there's a couple of issues here, but I did think that that flaw here, that after seasoning it, was lead or something of that nature. But turns out that I did hear, I can't remember who it was, somebody mentioned, it might have been Cast Iron Chaos, that said that sometimes there was impurities in the iron embedded. And I actually had another Wagner Ware that was a unmarked that had the same issue, which had these silver little just flakes, I guess you could say. There isn't much that you could tell. And as I mentioned, you could see that that kind of made me, you know, think, oh shoot, was this, you know, lead? Was it used for lead? But I highly doubt it, because it had a lot of buildup on the bottom for, you know, for cooking. It had a lot of buildup, so I just figured they used it for cooking. But as you can see here, 10.5-inch D skillet, Wagner, and I can tell it's a Wagner by the handle design. This is one of their handle designs. After, you know, their other designs, they have several designs. This one here has a different design, so does that one. So they all kind of vary, but the more modern Wagner Ware skillets had this handle design here. Even though it's unmarked, it's still, it doesn't say where it's made, or, you know, if made in USA. So I do want to, actually, now that I think about it, it could be a little bit older, but as I mentioned, this would be technically one of their, not, you know, best casted skillets, almost like they're seconds. So possibly that could be one of the reasons why they had so many impurities. But other than that, as I mentioned, the seasoning is kind of on and off. I was a little bit impatient, and I left a little bit of the, I guess you could say, some of that carbon buildup. Didn't take it off all the way, and I just kind of let it stay there, just seasoned over it. But as I mentioned, getting there so far is not the best, not the most even. I did place it in a lye tank. I had a lot of carbon buildup and just a lot of grease buildup, but it has developed a pretty decent coat of seasoning. As I mentioned, I actually haven't used this to cook yet, but this is one of the number 8 Wagners that I own, unmarked. We're going to move on with the following one here. We have also a square skillet. This is a Wagner Ware Sydney O square skillet, and I've had issues with this one, and as you can see, very, actually, you know, no pitting, I guess you could say, very flat. It looks good. Rick says seasoning looking good. I wish I could be better. I wish it could be better. I've used this heavily, but when I first bought it, but I kind of stopped using it, and the reason being is that just my seasoning has kind of like taken a hit on and off, and it's almost a little difficult to maintain. The other thing is that my wife was around me when I was seasoning, and her hair got stuck here, and I'm just very, I don't know if you can see it, but I discovered that she had lost a little bit of hair here, and I seasoned over it, and luckily it's not in the cooking surface, it's on the underside. But either way, I am very nitpicky about my things, so I might, since I mentioned had issues with this one here, I'm thinking about maybe starting over, and possibly, because I think when I bought this already restored. So this one I did not purchase at a, I think it was like $60. So it was a little bit higher priced, but I did love it because this one is actually very flat, which I like a lot. So if you guys have seen some of my videos, I do have a flat bottom, or I'm sorry, I have a glass stovetop. So a flat bottom is very necessary because I don't want it spinning around. And I've had many of these where I've seen them, and obviously they have that warp. So for me, it's kind of a nuisance to try and cook and just have it move around a lot. So I usually look for flat, as flat as can be. So, but this one was very flat, so that's why I was willing to pay the price. And for some of you guys, $60 is a lot of money, and for me, I mean, it was a lot of money as well. I'm not saying that I'm rich, because I'm not. But $60, I figured for a restored Wagner Ware square skillet wasn't going to be, going to hurt the pocket too much. William Hurt, I have one of those Wagner skillets, but unmarked. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen those too. For $60, as I mentioned, with the really good condition, flat, I figured it was worth the $60 for me at least. And as I mentioned, the seasoning kind of has been on and off as well. And I have cooked a lot of crazy stuff on this, so I mean that could be another reason why. Cooked a lot of tomato-based food and also very acidic food. So as I mentioned, on and off. Bruno, hi Luis, have a nice evening. Thank you very much. Now, here's one of the awesome designs that I like about their, I guess their chef skillets. The handle designs are very nice. I do like the thumb rest here, similar to the Asian cast iron skillets that have almost ridges here. But I do like that this one has an indentation, and actually the handle is very comfortable. So it's something that I like a lot. And I figured since I didn't have one of these, I'd pick one up, and I have it on the collection now. So as I mentioned, very nice, and it's not heavy at all. So that's one of the things that I like about it too. Yeah, see, William Hurt said he didn't pay $60. He paid $10, which is a steal. That's a good score. Off topic, Damian Wilson. Off topic, do you plan purchasing the Smitty 17-inch carbon steel party pan? At this moment, I just got the Field Company. I don't know if you guys saw that video. I haven't really posted I guess you could say a review. I did kind of do an unboxing. That one is actually pretty big, and I think at the moment, since I have the Lodge 17 and the Field Company number 16 dual handle pan, I think I'm going to stay like that for a while. I do want to venture more into carbon steel. I have a couple of carbon steel pans. I don't really use them a lot. I probably should, especially my Smitty. That thing has been awesome. I don't think I've ever had any issues with the Smitty. I think it's a 12-inch carbon steel pan. That one is really great. But anyway, guys, moving on. So as I mentioned, Wagner Ware, the square skillet, great condition. Might consider of redoing it, possibly, and trying to even the coating on this. As I mentioned, I'm very nitpicky about these things. You over-seasoned your field. I guess you could say one of the best ways to do it that's actually happened to me is you kind of keep going with it. So usually, like if you have a splotch and it's sticky, what I usually do is I put it back in the oven or a grill or anything that you use to season, and let it run a little bit longer. I want to say maybe an hour or two more. And don't run it too high, and that should actually kind of it'll darken it in. You won't really have a ridge. It'll season onto the pan actually really nicely, and it'll darken up a lot, especially if you have like a built up. I know it becomes splotchy, but my Field Company has done that as well, and you just go with it, and after some time it just evens out, guys. The more you cook with them, the better they get, and it almost sounds cliche, but it is true. A lot of people say, oh, don't worry so much about it. It really does. In the beginning, when I started using cast iron, guys, I was very nitpicky. I was just constantly just worried about the evenness of the coating. And to be honest, now I'm just, if it has a splotch here and there and we have uneven seasoning, I don't mess with it. I just continue cooking with it. William Hurt, we sure make the rounds. Yep, Kip. I do have Lancaster yet, but yeah, you guys are talking about the Lancaster. Yes, one of my favorites. Lancaster has great products, but we're going to move on to the other one here. This is actually an unmarked Wagner, at least from what I know. I was told it was an unmarked Wagner. I did get this one restored already, and I did pay, I think it was $40 for this at a local swap meet. The person was actually selling this for 80 bucks. And, you know, I said, hey, listen, I really don't know if this is a Wagner. I was kind of haggling him. And I said, you know, would you consider taking the price down a little bit? I got to the point where I told him, you know, 40 bucks. And he's like, you know what? He's like, I feel like you like this pan a lot. He says, I'll give it up to you if you're going to be using it. He says it'll go to a good place. So hopefully I do some justice, and you know, I do like cooking a lot, so I have been using this. I haven't really featured it on the channel, but this is, I guess you could say, I used to say it was an ugly hammered, but it's not. I guess ugly is a certain brand, which I was corrected on. So the uglies are their own brand, I want to say, and this one here is a hammered. I know Lodge produced something similar like this. This one sits also very flat, and I do like the flat bottom design on it. Very beautiful. My wife, when she first saw it, she said, I love that design. Out of all your skillets, she said that one is very unique, and I agree with her. It is very unique, and I do like the fact that it is very smooth inside as well. Seasoning is here and there, but it really is up to me to use them. So I've been really focusing, guys, on the newer stuff. Rick, thank you very much for the compliment. Yes, this is a very nice skillet. But I've been focusing a lot on the newer stuff, the modern pans, and I haven't really focused too much on the vintage. As I mentioned, I do have a collection now, so probably I'll start doing more vintage cooking, you know, baking, things of that nature, and be focusing more on the vintage stuff. As I mentioned before, I am slowing down on the newer stuff. I have a lot. My collection has grown to possibly, I want to say, 200 to maybe 250 pieces now. So that's a lot of cast iron. My wife is, you know, luckily she's very understanding, but if it was anybody else, probably would have gotten kicked out by now. I'll be honest too, guys. I have a lot of stuff. You know, I'm just lucky enough that she's very nice. She's very understanding, and she knows that for me, this is a hobby to collect, along with a, you know, I want to say cooking for me has become one of the things that I love doing the most now at this point. So I picked up cooking, I want to say 4 years ago, and obviously there's a benefit for her as well. So she likes the cooking as well. So she doesn't mind the collection. But anyway, guys, moving on to this, as I mentioned, not you know, there isn't very many markings on this to tell you that it is a Wagner. And Rick says, don't ever move, Luis. Thank you. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. What I'm gonna do, guys, and I'm gonna post it here, so I'm just gonna let you guys know. I will be thinning out my collection. I have, for those of you that want free skillets or free cast iron for that matter, because if you guys are like me and you guys are cast iron aficionados, you know, crazy about cast iron, I will be doing a giveaway on new stuff, and possibly, if you guys are up for it, maybe some vintage stuff as well. Now, the new stuff that I have is actually the Walking Liberty skillet from Cracker Barrel. I also have the Made in America American flag skillet, brand new. So I want to give those away. I have two, and that's going to be a giveaway just as a thank you. I've done that. I bought those a while back, and I just haven't had any time, guys. This summer has been brutal for me, work-wise. So I've been very busy with work. So as I mentioned, but I do want to do a giveaway, and you guys are hearing it here. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I know I've mentioned many things. I'm going to be continuing my giveaways with the Finex stickers, along with the wooden spatulas. I'm doing the cast iron giveaway. I have a lot of stuff lined up, guys. I've just been very busy, and I'm really sorry for that. But we're going to be doing giveaways for that, and I'll be posting a video for those items. But as I mentioned, I wanted to let you guys know here that I will be doing giveaways. So pay attention to the channel, guys. I appreciate, you know, all the support, and I want to give back to you guys as a thank you. So I will be giving away, as I mentioned, new and possibly vintage. Let me know I'll probably do a poll to see if you guys are up to getting some vintage pieces that I've restored. And if you guys are, then I will do some vintage pieces to give away as well. So I do have a large collection now, and I do need to thin out my collection. I also have a field, which the Wheatcrest logo that I might consider giving away because I have 3 of them. I have a field best seasoning for cooking. Okay, yeah, Field Company is actually very nice. It's funny that I was just talking about that. I think it was Eric. I didn't get to see the comment. Live chat. Let's see. Of course, Louise, your content is awesome. Thanks, Rick. But anyway, so as I mentioned, guys, yeah, so I will be doing giveaways. As I mentioned, look forward to that in a future post. But back to the Wagner. Sorry, guys, I keep getting sidetracked. Very beautiful skillet, one of my favorites. I definitely need to be using more this one here. So, and I saved the best one for last because that one I love a lot. That one I got for a great price, and also possibly one of my best seasoned that is vintage. This thing is like glass. So one thing about it, though, it is a little pitted, as you can see here. The Wagner, I guess you could say, stamp, or their logo is a little bit different, and I don't know much about this one. I've only seen the like the first one that I showed you guys, where it's a more modern, I guess you could say, font. This one looks like it's possibly an older skillet. If any of you guys know, about this skillet, I couldn't find much information. Usually the ones that are more popular are the other ones that have, let me see if I can grab it real quick, like this style here. This one here is more popular. This one, the arced Wagner Ware logo, I guess you could say. But this one for me was a very rare find. And even though it has a good amount of pitting, it's still a great user, and it's actually flatter than my other skillets. So very flat. It does have a heat ring. It was heavily used because you could see here, I don't know if you guys can kind of see it, but the heat ring has been worn down from the, when you set it down. I guess you could say when you set it down, it kind of grinds that front part of that heat ring. And that's one of the things that worried me when I first saw this. But no, I set it on my countertops, and it is completely flat. Another thing that you can see on this Wagner is their number 9, the way it is. The font is very, very nice. I love this just overall. And here's the inside of it. Yeah, this is a very beautiful pan. For me, as I mentioned, the finish is just super smooth, guys. And the seasoning on this, as I mentioned, one of my best ones. So I'm very happy with this. And I did season this myself when I got it. It wasn't fully restored. So very nice. I do like it a lot. And as you can see here, let's see. I'm trying to read the comments. Let's see, live chat. Smooth like butter from Rick. I'm sorry, guys. I will try to read the comments in a minute. But as you can see here, as I mentioned, very smooth, very well seasoned. This one, I've done eggs on this, and man, they just glide around like nothing. So very nice. Fisher. Oh, okay. Yeah, so when I do just a fried egg or anything of that nature, my food, potatoes or anything like breakfast items, man, this pan does a great job. And it is a number 9, and it is a little heavy, but I do like the heft on it because I want to say that's one of the reasons why it never warped. This is a very flat skillet, so the bottom of this actually feels a little bit thicker. Sidewalls are very thin, guys. So that for me, this is a big score. William Hurt says, Rick, very savvy and knowledgeable. I got to catch up on the conversation you guys are having, guys. But anyway, as I mentioned, very happy with this one. It does have utensil marks here and there, but to me, that's not an issue. As long as they don't have hairline cracks or any kind of crack, I think that, or if it isn't heavily warped, even the pitting for me is okay. I don't mind any of those things. As I mentioned, when I first started, I was looking for the pristine skillet. Like I wanted something that was almost brand new, and considering it being vintage. And obviously, you know, it's going to be a long time for you to find something like that. Yes, there are some skillets out there that perhaps never were used or were used very lightly, but you know, it's going to take you time to find a skillet that is almost in perfect condition. So for me, when I found this and I saw it, I was like, wow, this thing is amazing. I've never really seen this kind of font before. And I did a little bit of research, but either way, I picked it up. For me, it was a great score. So I was very happy when I got this. And as I mentioned, one of my favorite ones. Rick says, I think that Skillet will be around another 100 years. I hope so. I do hope that now that I've built up such a large collection, I do hope that my kids, once they grow up, that they're willing to learn how to use cast iron and then continue to use these pieces for them to be used for another 100 years. I mean, that would be amazing. So you know, even my newer modern skillets as well, hopefully they get an interest in that and decide to use it. Rick says, no reason, Luis, great grands won't use it. Great grands. Oh. But anyway, guys, this one is going to be pretty much a short video just talking about the Wagner collection that I have. Bruno says, if it's a good user, it's a perfect skillet. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, guys. If you guys can find a, like I mentioned, my table isn't flat. So, I mean, but this, it's flat. Believe me, guys, it's very flat. Fisherman says, I do like the outer heat rings on these pieces. I do like them as well, too. They actually, for me, I want to say that I like the design of this, not so much because of the heat ring, but I do like just the overall design because it does look, like something that was a vintage piece. Just what it is. It's a vintage piece. So for me, the design, even though it's simple, I love the pour spouts, the angles of the walls. They're very, almost 90 degrees. If you've seen some of the newer stuff, they have more of an angle. Even Lodge does more of a angled sidewall. So I do like that these were pretty much, and you can see that a lot in vintage skillets. The sidewalls are usually almost at a 90 degree. And then later down the road, as cooking progressed, they made chef skillets, which had the sloped walls. And there's so many iterations of cookware out there. Eric T says, do they do work on induction? I haven't tested it, guys. I know obviously if you get one of the flat bottom ones, it's gonna work. So something like this, since it is a flat bottom, it will work. With these, here's the other thing though. I do follow a channel here on YouTube. His name is you guys probably know him, Uncle Scott's Kitchen. Uncle Scott's Kitchen, he does a lot of just cookware, I guess you could say, review. And he's cooked with Lodge. He's done Lodge reviews, and he loves cast iron, and he loves carbon steel. Mainly, his thing is carbon steel. But he did a review with induction stovetops. And one thing that I do notice with induction and cast iron is that if you don't have a thick bottom piece, you are running a risk of warping your skillet. For some reason, I guess you could say the induction does something to the metal, to the iron, and it causes it to possibly focus most of the energy in the center and causes it to warp. I do know, as I mentioned, that they are compatible with induction, which is nice, and even modern skillets. I think that is one of their selling for Butterpat. I think it is Butterpat Industries. That is one of their selling points, is that they work with modern stoves. So even though cast iron is somewhat of a older cookware item, it is obviously still capable of working with modern kitchens. One of those being the induction stove. So yeah, they actually do promote that cast iron works for induction stoves, which is true. As I mentioned, this flat bottom piece does work. I do want to say that this works as well because the heat ring isn't very tall. So even though it's not direct contact, I think it'll still, because it's only a fraction millimeters, the heat ring isn't, as I mentioned, not very thick. So you will most likely get some kind of contact with the induction stove, and you'll be able to heat up your skillet. So going back to what I was saying, so with Uncle Scott's Kitchen, he did see a lot of warping in his carbon steel skillets, and obviously carbon steel is a lot thinner. So that's one of the things that I've kind of, because I was looking to purchase a single burner just to do cooking videos, and induction pops up a lot. And after seeing the review for Uncle Scott's Kitchen, he did that review, and after that, I thought about it, and I said, well, your best bet is if you're going to use cast iron and you're going to use the induction stove, I would recommend using a Lodge that has a thicker bottom, or possibly even a Smitty or a Finex. Some of those, I wouldn't necessarily, if this vintage piece is worth a lot of money to you, or not even if it's worth a lot of money, but if it's worth something to you and you don't want to ruin it, I would recommend you not using these with the induction. Use another cast iron company. Eric T. DeBuyer. DeBuyer is actually a very great company. I actually have a carbon steel griddle. I want to say it's a griddle or a crepe. It's actually a crepe pan, and I do love that crepe pan a lot. But that's carbon steel. And I'm just reading the comments, guys. Sorry for being here and there. I'm almost all over the place. So work in progress, guys, with this live. But anyway, as I mentioned, guys, this is the Wagner Ware collection that I built up, which is this one here, a number 9. As I mentioned, one of my favorite ones because it's held the seasoning really well. And as I mentioned, I did season these with the Smitty wax that they sell now. And for me, this has worked really well to even out the seasoning. This one, I think I use the canola, or you know what? I think for this one I use Crisco. So I tried different methods to see what works the best. And this one is kind of on and off, but like I mentioned before in the video in the beginning, this was used heavily with acidic food, so that kind of took a hit. And I haven't really restored it much, or give it a coat of seasoning. Fisherman says, I have a glass top range, but I've learned to love it with... Yeah, for me, a lot of people shy away from glass stovetops, but I like them. I think they're good. My sister's glass stovetop is horrible. So, it's a hit and miss. Sometimes they work great, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the, I want to say, the brand that you have and that you own, and also the way you cook. Here's the other one that I showed in I think this was the first one. You go, that square skillet, don't even have Captain Kirk. That one is the number 8, number 9. I got this square skillet here. Just got here. What's up, Louise? Hey, honey badger, I think it was. Doing a live video to see how this goes. I know that I didn't announce it, and this is pretty much a trial. If you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, let me know. If you guys want to do, or if you guys want to be involved in this, where we talk about a certain topic, and you want me to be reading the comments. I do see Rick posting a lot of things, and thank you very much, Rick, for always being. I see you with Cast Iron Chaos. I see you in the Cast Iron community. Rick, you're always there to support, which I do want to say and point out there. Bruno as well. Thank you guys for always being supportive of the channel and the Cast Iron community. So, as a Cast Iron user and a Cast Iron YouTube channel, I want to say thank you to all of you who support Cast Iron. This one here is the hammered Wagner unmarked. And lastly, this one is a honey badger. Let's see the right Griswold again with the part number. Oh, I don't think this one. You mean this one here? This one I think is a. From what I know, from what I was told, is not a Wagner but a hammered Wagner. It doesn't have any kind of markings, but I do want to say it is a Wagner, but because of the handle design and pour spout design, the number 8 as well, and as I mentioned, the handle design, very similar to a Wagner. So, and then this one here is also an unmarked. This one is not a Griswold, and I know that for a fact because of the handle design. That one there is actually, so that one is a Wagner as well. All these are all Wagner, guys. I don't know if I mentioned that, but these are all Wagner. So this one here, this square one for Honey Badger, Wagner Ware, Sydney O, square skillet, 1218. I don't know if that's the part number you were looking for. This one over here, real quick, doing a recap, guys. Wagner Ware, Sydney O, 8S. Oh, don't worry, no apologies necessary. And lastly, the older version, Wagner Sydney. This one also had the O. You can kind of see it there, but with all the pitting, you can't see it anymore. And then, as I mentioned, this one is a spinner, as you can see. This one here, and these are very easy to find. This model here, but you will find them with just being spinners. It is really hard for you to find these flat, and I've come across a lot of number 8s, number 5s, and I think like a number 12 I've come across, and I've owned some, and none of them have ever been flat. So as I mentioned, how can you tell that this is a Wagner? Well, you can tell by the handle design. See here, I want to say in the 50s, I want to say this was from the 50s, because this one does not say made in USA. There are some unmarked Wagners that do say made in USA. This one does not have it, so I do want to say it's older than the 60s. But I could be wrong, so. But 10.5-inch skillet. That's another thing about Wagner. They did write it out in this manner. And the sizing for BSR was a little bit different. Their design was different as well. They had a very pronounced indentation here. Wagner does not. And as I mentioned, as you can see, the top of the handle is very rounded. That's another way you can tell that this is a unmarked Wagner. See if I can get it in there a little bit closer, guys, for you. So yeah, that is the handle design of an unmarked Wagner. And, you know, obviously they had marked Wagners as well. And in the beginning of the video, I mentioned this, guys. So for those of you that have a pan that has these little dots, silver dots, and you're, you know, worried about it being lead, most likely it is not. I think it was Cast Iron Chaos who mentioned that these unmarked ones usually had impurities in the iron, which caused these little things, these impurities are not harmful whatsoever. So, but if you are, you know, you want to be cautious, use a lead test to test it. Let's see, Fisherman, I inherited an unmarked Wagner number 12 that is flat, no movement when, wow, that's great. Even on my glass range, that is awesome. Definitely a Wagner handle, yep. The rarest cast iron piece is a Wagner that isn't warped. You are correct. If you looked at the handles from the side, then you can often, unique profile. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was trying to show you guys that side profile. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for tonight. I do want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. I know, as I mentioned, I didn't put any kind of notification out there, but I am very happy that at least I got 15 people here watching live. I appreciate it. I'm going to put a poll on YouTube, and if you guys want to see more of this, and I can stream after Cast Iron Chaos, possibly we'll be doing live, and we can be chatting together on all about cast iron. So that is going to be it for today. Have a good evening, guys. Everybody who joined, thank you very much. Arthur Soto, thanks, dude. Really cool seeing the collection. Thank you very much. This is my Wagner Ware collection, guys, for those of you that just possibly showed up. But anyway, as I mentioned, I want to say thank you very much, and I will catch you guys on the next one.